Guess who's back? Here we are, guys. December 12th, back in Belgium. It's been a minute. So let's just get into it. I know I haven't posted videos, what is it now, 3-4 months. Didn't feel too inspired. Felt the need to fall back and just kind of focus on life. So what I'll do now is I'll just go over the broad lines of what has been happening in my life. First things first, I have found a new love, a new relationship, and that's about everything I'm going to say on that. It's not going to be like the past in terms of me giving this open access to my life and to the people in my life. As I'm getting older, I'm just realizing it's fascinating how much one changes with time and with age, and how you can just look at something that you did maybe even 2 years ago and go, huh, interesting, like I wouldn't do that today. I'll give you guys an example, right? Something that literally happened this morning, something I came across by chance, because I haven't been checking my analytics, I haven't been checking anything really. So this morning I had a comment on one of my videos. Hey, good morning. And ironically, the video is not even that old. I think I made it less than 2 years ago. Maybe 2 years and a half. And the video is called How Many Women Have I Slept With in Mexico, right? I'm like, fuck. And of course, the video, like obviously, it's a clickbait title, because the whole point of the video is me talking about like the number was none, 0, like I hadn't slept with anyone in Mexico. But like, and so the way I used to excuse that to myself would be, I'm playing the game, I gotta reel them in. It's about mixing in the wisdom and the gems, you know, the vegetables with the meat, as if you're feeding a baby, right? So that's how I would justify that. But then, funny enough, 37-year-old me is just like, I don't even want that general perception out there. Like, it's not so much about what people think of me per se, or like how they'll judge me, but it's more so how that could potentially affect people around me, people that I'm close to, people that have just gotten on the Lorenz train relatively recently. And that's a real thing. Like, we are all ever-changing entities, at least if you're doing it right. And I've had some extreme phases that are all very well documented on YouTube. And you could argue I'm in my most extreme phase today. Like, I'm running around, I got braids, I got extensions, blonde extensions looking like Future. Like, getting tatted first tattoo at 37. Like, you could make the case that I'm the most unhinged I've ever been right now, when in reality I feel like the opposite is true. I feel like I'm more myself than ever, and I'm more calm than ever. But the point I'm trying to make is, especially as a creator, as an artist, it can sometimes be shocking to look back at some of your past work. If only even the title of the video, right? If only even something as simple as a YouTube title, which, by the way, I changed. I was just like, I don't want that out there. I don't want that type of energy or like that type of association with my person out there. So they look like hens. I'm assuming they're not cocks, but they kind of look like him. But then they just flew. That's interesting. There's some big ass hens. Cause I saw them fly. Let me zoom in on this. I apologize, guys, if you don't give a damn about this. This is kind of interesting because I just saw them fly, and then there's more there. Check them out. Check out the zoom on this baby. So anyway, let's see what happens if we can get them to fly again. Nope. Interesting. They also look way too fancy. Sorry, guys. I remember getting distracted by the buzzards, the common buzzards, attacking me, and then this guy left a comment like, "You fucking asshole! You derailed the whole video with that part." So, sorry. And I guess I just did it again. Anywho, it was just interesting to see how even me coming across that title was like, oh, what? No, we're not doing that. So I say all that to say a lot of changes have been taking place. I've always been a big believer in not assuming I am special, in the sense of like, if you want to predict the future, just look at people older than you. And don't assume that you're going to be wiser or they were by design idiots. What I mean is, like, there are certain patterns that you see that happens to people older than you in the context of relationships, work, all of that. Like, I'll name a few. Like, people having kids and having a really hard time and struggling to connect and just looking tired all the time and all those things. Like, when you see that, don't assume that when you have your kids, you're gonna be on top of everything and it's all just gonna be fine and dandy. Or, for example, this thing with ambition, right? Like, when we are young, we tend to just ambition over everything, make as much money as we can, but also status, climb the ranks. And I feel like just in 98% of the cases, by our mid-30s, that ambition has fizzled out. Because ambition is kind of a scam. It's kind of like a trap, like an illusion. Because there's really not that much on the other end of it that is all that fulfilling. It is a glittery toy for young people. Also for a lot of men, I feel it's like a way for them to reinvent themselves, become attractive, become good with the ladies. A lot of men still make that equation, like money equals women, you know, stuff like that, which isn't entirely wrong, let's be real. But then I feel like by the time people get in their mid to late 30s, it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I just want to kind of be happy, be healthy, and spend time with my loved ones, like family. In my 20s, I always cared about my family, but it wasn't like a thing. It wasn't until my 30s that I realized, like, holy shit, like, these are my best friends. It's my family. Like, these are by far the most important people. And me living in Mexico City, that is also the hardest, the biggest sacrifice I have to make. You know, like not being able to be with them more often. But of course, you make those sacrifices based on a plan, based on a vision, and then still you try to do the best you can. But my point is, never assume that you're smarter than people that went in front of you, or that you're gonna be so much better at life. It's far more likely you're gonna fall through the same pitfalls. So that's something that I've always preached and I still try to do to this day. So right now, if you look at the tournament of life in the sense of when you start life as a teenager, just like everything is a glittery toy, right? Like a new toy, a new experience, and you're just sucked in. Like, I feel like the biggest glittery thing is like video gaming. So like video gaming is at the bottom of the pyramid of life. I would probably say it's movies first. As a kid, you get into movies, you get into shows. Then you get a little bit older, you're like 14, 15. You get to play video games. And that's when you have like a solid 5, 6, 7 years that you're just video gaming all the time. That's what I used to do. And then I feel like maybe I was a late bloomer, but then the video game gets replaced by the video game of life, which is like, I would say, partying and girls. And I'm speaking from a male perspective here, but I feel like you can flip it and assume that for women it's also party and boys, or party and girls if you're lesbian, or party and boys if you're gay, like all good. Whatever rocks your boat. So, first layer of the pyramid, movies and shows, media, then video games, then alcohol and sex, basically. Then maybe during or after that period, some other recreational drugs. I was very lucky to have been raised right and strict. I'm so happy I didn't discover weed or anything else until I was 21. I'm not opposed to drugs. I am very opposed to people under 20 doing any drug besides alcohol. And I think we need to like normalize also like taking a position on that. Like it's okay to say that, you know. Obviously alcohol fucking sucks and it's a terrible drug, but due to the societal context in which it is accessible and what it really actually does to your brain and body, it is still, though I love weed and I'm the biggest pothead you can imagine, I have to admit, based on logic, based on experience, based on common sense, it is far better for your average 16-year-old to get into drinking on the weekend than to get into weed. And it's not even close. Weed will destroy you as a young person, and it'll rob you of your power, your edge, your aggression, all the things that you need to find partners, to find experiences, to have courage. Weed is the other side. Weed is the thing that takes away all of those things, that turns your room into Disney World, that makes you not want to leave, that makes you comfortable in every setting, that makes you antisocial, that makes you just want to stay home and think. So that's something for later. But first you gotta live, man. So I would say, just as a general side thought, I like that. I would still say that's better. Anyway, continuing on the pyramid of life. So we got media, we got movies, we got music, then we got video games, then we got alcohol and sex. And then I feel the next phase of the pyramid is just career ambition, right? Like 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. That's when a lot of young men are already like wearing suits, all about the career, all about becoming an entrepreneur, all about building something. Especially in recent memory, in the past decade and a half, the fetishization of entrepreneurship has been pretty nauseating, in, you know, because the likes of Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. It's basically just like we took this person who is extremely talented and predestined to do something. It's like you're taking a Michael Jordan, and then Michael Jordan has a platform, and now Michael Jordan is telling everyone, or LeBron James for people who are younger, like, you should make your whole life about basketball. That's how I kind of look at Gary Vaynerchuk, for example, trying to tell people you should make your whole life about being an entrepreneur. Like, we took this quite niche thing and then we extrapolated it and projected it onto like everyone. Like, you should be an entrepreneur. No, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. If you're watching this, there's a very strong likelihood that you should not be an entrepreneur and that you are far better off with a 9-to-5 corporate job. And that's okay. That is just fine. I saw this meme the other day. I'm not the biggest meme guy, but this particular meme I fucking loved. It was basically comparing. It was the image of this like sexy MacBook Pro, and then the other one was this like Dell Chromebook basic NPC laptop, like the one that I have for my work, right? And it said, if your company gives you this computer, and that would be the MacBook, like, expect to be working 60 hours a week for shit pay and building someone else's dream. It didn't say all of that. It was just basically saying like, you're gonna have a hard ass job for little pay and reward. Whereas if your company gives you the bland, gray, boring plastic chrome Dell Chromebook, you know, or the HD one, like the typical HD bland corporate laptop, you're gonna have a good life. You're gonna have like maybe 28 hours of actual work a week. You're gonna have benefits. You're gonna like, and the week is over by Friday noon. And that shit's so real. I just feel like the whole ambition and all that, that's like the next, layer of the pyramid. And that is where I'm very much at, ladies and gentlemen. I'm 37 years old, and I happen to have had a ton of entrepreneurs in my close circle. All that is already fizzling out now, because there is a super hard point of diminishing returns as it pertains to income and making money. And so I'm already witnessing that firsthand. A lot of these dudes are just like, fuck, what now? And already at 37, guys, like, I remember being 32 and telling one of my buddies about fish oils, and he was just laughing at me. He was like, why the fuck would I take fish oils? What are you talking about? Like, you're an idiot. And I remember thinking, okay, the proof is not in the pudding yet. Like, our sample size of the life has not been big enough for me to have, or for me to be able to showcase a tangible difference in terms of how I look, how my health is, and how his is, right? How his is. And so 5 years later, those differences are there. I have a bunch of friends now. Mind you, this is coming from somebody, by the way, guys, let me show you. So I'm getting this common buzzard tattoo on my leg. Don't tell mom. And I'm going to show you right now the nest. That right there is the nest of the common buzzard. So last winter we had 3 of them. Mom, dad, and a baby. And I can't wait to show you guys the piece of art that is being put on my leg. It is nowhere near done yet. It's big as hell. Kind of freaking out, but fuck it, we're here now. And so that's where he resides. Anywho, back to the pyramid. So now I'm seeing all of those friends who got really into entrepreneurship. They got poor health. They have heart problems, they have lung problems, eyesight problems, guys. That is a real thing. If you're stressed all the time, and you're like on the phone all the time on a computer, your eyes will get fucked up. By the time you're 30, your eyes are done. Lower back, a lot of lower back issues. So now they're all like, oh shit, and they all want to invest in health. I have talked about this plenty of times, but it is important for me to repeat this. When I was faced with making the decision on what to invest my primary energy in right after my second cancer, because I was relegated to being at home. I wasn't capable to work, but I was good enough to like live and do things. So I was like, well, where do I go from here? What do I do? And instead of focusing on the right answer, I was just like, until I find the absolute right answer on what to spend most of my time, let me try to be rational and take into account all of the factors of this equation of opportunity, timeline, capability. And so a big one in that equation of life is always ask yourself, what can I do now? What can I still do now that I won't be able to do in the future? And so the biggest one for that has always been health, because of testosterone, because of youth, because of joints. You got to start in your 20s. If you start hitting the gym in your 40s, I mean, yeah, it's going to help, it's going to be good for you, but you're not going to be able to build muscle the same way. You're already kind of on the decline. You got to build that base in your 20s, guys. You got to really, I'm not telling you to be a bodybuilder. I'm not telling you should have a six-pack. I'm not telling you to like even, fuck all of that. But you need to be doing weight resistance training, okay? So that's what I did. Now, obviously, I kind of went too hard and turned myself into a Viking natural bodybuilder, which is ridiculous. Like, the amount of time I put into it doesn't make sense. I could achieve 92% of these results by putting in 35% less effort. So I'm putting in 35% more effort for an extra 8%, just to have that cat side delt, just to have that six-pack, just to have those veins on my shoulders. Like, all of that is ego and vanity. So don't do as I do. Do as I say. So yes, build muscle, do some squats, do some deadlifts. I'm not a big deadlift fan, but that's neither here nor there. Because now I'm 37. I'm in peak shape, baby. I'm so good. I'm so strong. I'm so healthy. Whereas a lot of these dudes who didn't prioritize that, they're breaking down. And so then the next layer of the pyramid of life, after ambition, usually comes the epiphany of family and people being the most important thing. Potentially kids. Depends on the person. But it's like we have to go through this whole whirlwind of distractions and glittery toys. We're like, like a little baby just like grasping at it until finally we come full circle. We settle down and we realize, just as when we were toddlers and we would just chill in a room with our parents, that's kind of the gist of what we like to do later on in life. Just spend time with your parents, with your cousins, your loved ones, and invest in that, invest in community. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm getting at now. So the idea is to start making more videos again, just letting my thoughts flow. I understand that most of you appreciate and like to take in my content almost as like a podcast in the background. So I think instead of me talking about hyper specific things that happen to me, like me talking about bad dates, or me like making very like personal videos that then get a bunch of perhaps negative criticism and feedback, that then triggers me. I don't think that serves anyone. So that's not what I want to do anymore with this channel at this point. I just want to start documenting my conclusions again, my philosophy, these things that I'm learning on the way. So this will be the first of many of those, and I hope you enjoyed it. So please comment below if you have more topics that you want me to discuss specifically, and I will just unleash on those. But one thing is for sure, we're back, baby. Peace.